In this video, we are going to learn about the various macroeconomic variables associated with GDP calculation. Alright. So, as we have seen in the last class, the GDP of a country is the sum of value addition of all goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country. Okay. So, GDP is the value of all states' gross domestic product (SGDP) and output value addition done by the center with respect to activities like railways, defense, highways, and embassies located in other countries, fishing vessels, oil rigs, natural gas rigs, floating platforms, all right, operated by residents of the country in international waters also, all right. So this was the definition of GDP as we have learnt in the last class. Okay. Now, if we want to exclusively calculate the amount of value addition done by the residents of the country only, then we calculate the GNP. Okay, that is the gross national product. It is the income or product which accrues to the economic agents who are residents of the country. Okay, the nationals or residents of that country only. Okay, irrespective of whether they are working in the country or outside the country, they must be residents of the country. Okay, so gross national product or GNP, it is the GDP plus factor income earned by domestic factors of production employed in rest of the world minus income earned by factors of production in the rest of the world employed in the domestic economy. Okay, that is the net factor income from abroad. All right. Okay, so factor income, as we have seen in the from the last class, it is comprised of the rent, the wages, interests, and profits. All right. So that is the factor income. Okay. So net factor income from abroad is the income that our residents are earning from abroad minus the income that the residents of other countries are earning from our economy. All right. So gross national product or GNP is GDP plus net factor income. All right. Okay. So just note one thing. This can be a prelims question. The gross national product does not include transfer payments. Okay. So what are transfer payments? They are one-way payments. Okay. That has in where goods and services are exchanged. Goods and services are not exchanged. Okay. So this is in contrast with the simple payment. In simple payment, where a transfer of money is done in exchange for a product or service. Okay. So in transfer payment, only money transfer is done without any reciprocal goods and service exchange. All right. So it is just basically free money. Okay. Someone is paying you without expecting anything in return. Okay. That is free money. Okay. So transfer payments, they are the efforts by local, state, and federal governments to redistribute money to those in need. Okay, just like social security payments like retirement pension, disability pension. Okay, so here the money is provided without this the beneficiaries adding anything in return. Okay, so in despite the beneficiaries not doing any value addition, they are paid. Okay, so that is the definition of transfer payments. Okay, so so why GNP does not include transfer payment? Because it will lead to double counting. So how? So for example, a person is contributing to GDP of another country, okay, and gets income and sends that money to our country, all right, in the form of remittances. Okay, so that income is calculated in the GDP of that country or in the GNP of our country. If we include that transfer payment in either GDP or GNP, okay, then that will lead to double counting. Okay, so that's why uh, transfer payments are not included in GDP or GNP. Okay, and again, transfer payments are free money that they do not lead to any value addition. Okay, they are not the result of any value addition. Okay, so as we have seen, the GDP is calculated as GDP of production method, which is equal to the GDP of income method. Okay, so here from transfer money, it is free money. We are not doing any value addition. Okay, so GNP and GDP does not include transfer payments. All right, but in the disposable income, okay, in the disposable income, transfer payments are added. Okay, so we will see it in the next slide. Okay, so GNP is also called gross national income. As you have seen, GDP is calculated in three methods: the production method, income method, and expenditure method. Okay, so national product, we can also say it to be national income. Similarly, the net national product is also called net national income. Okay, so these words, this product and income, these words are used interchangeably. Okay, so as you have seen, GDP and GNP. Okay, GDP, it includes the foreign contributions. If someone is working, some foreign national is working in the domestic territory of our country, then the work of that foreign national is included in the GDP of our country. Okay, but about GNP, it focuses on the resident's income. On the resident income, the resident may be working in our country, or the resident may be working abroad. Okay, so after including net factor income with the GDP, we arrive at GNP. Okay, so let us see some macroeconomic variables associated with GDP and GNP. Okay, so GDP as you have seen in MP means market prices, and FCs at factor cost. All right. Okay, so as you have seen in the above equation, okay, above equation, GDP plus net factor income is equal to GNP. Similarly, okay, GDP plus net factor income from abroad is equal to GNP. So, so these two boxes, they have similar value. Okay. So, as you have seen, GNP is equal to gross domestic product at market price plus net factor income from abroad. Okay. So similar thing is written: GNP at market price is equal to GDP plus net factor income from abroad. Similarly, GDP at market prices is equal to net domestic product at market prices plus depreciation. Okay. So as you have seen in the last class, the net value is gross minus depreciation. So gross is net plus depreciation. So GDP at market prices includes these two. Okay. So GDP at market prices includes net domestic product plus depreciation. Similarly, we can also calculate here the net domestic product at market prices is equal to net domestic product at factor cost plus taxes and subsidy. Okay. So here this taxes and subsidy, they include both product taxes and subsidy, okay, plus production taxes and subsidy. Okay, production taxes and subsidy. So what are product tax and subsidy? What are production taxes and subsidy? We have seen in the previous class. Okay. So net domestic product is equal to NDP at factor cost plus taxes minus subsidy. Okay. Similarly, as you see, this side also, if we see GNP, gross national product at market price is equal to net national product at market price plus depreciation. Okay. GNP market price, net national product plus depreciation. Similarly, NNP at market price is equal to NNP at factor cost plus taxes minus subsidy. Okay, so this diagram is an important diagram, and these equations, you should never make any mistake in these equations. No need to remember this. You can arrive at these equations if you have understood the concepts properly. All right. So as we saw, disposable income. Disposable means that the money at hand. Okay, the money that can be spent. Okay, so that also includes transfer payments. Okay, national income plus transfer payments, because in India we are a net remittance receiving country. Our net disposable income is always greater than national income. All right. Okay. So now let us come to real and nominal GDP. Okay. What is real GDP? It reflects the true economic growth by adjusting for inflation. Adjusting means the we have subtracted the value of inflation. Okay. In real GDP. Okay. In nominal GDP, we have included. Okay. We have included inflation value. All right. Measures the overall economic output without adjusting for inflation. Okay. So let us see about real GDP. It is inflation adjusted. As I said, inflation is not included in real GDP. It reflects the value of goods and services produced by an economy in a given year. All right. So it is expressed in base year prices, often referred to as constant price or inflation corrected GDP. Okay. So what is base year? So while GDP calculation, we assume one year as base year, and taking that year as a benchmark, we calculate the GDP of the other years with respect to that benchmark or that base year. Okay. So in real GDP calculation, we must have a base year. Okay. The we take the price of any year as a constant and declare it as base year. Okay. So in India, the base year has been recently revised in December 2024 from 2015-16 to 2022-2023. Okay. So this is important. Okay. So about this base year calculation, we'll see it in the next slide. Okay. So real GDP needs a base year. So it is also called that base year price is called constant price. Okay. So according to that constant price, the subsequent value addition of subsequent years are calculated according to that base year. Okay. So it makes comparing GDP more meaningful because it shows the actual comparison for quantity of goods and services produced with respect to that year base year. Okay. So what is nominal GDP? It is the monetary value. Okay, at the current market prices. Okay, so current market prices means it also includes the effect of inflation. It is not adjusted for inflation as we have seen. Without inflation adjustment, it includes inflation. Okay, it includes the pace of prices comparing one period to another and can inflate the growth figure. Okay, so because it can inflate the growth figure, that's why GDP, real GDP is a more meaningful approach. Okay, so growing nominal GDP from year to year may reflect a rise in prices as opposed to growth. Okay, so we'll see what these lines are saying in the next slide. Okay, so let us see GDP calculation. So for example, consider we are starting from the year 2011-12 and we have considered 2011-12 price as the base year. Okay, in the year 2011-12, consider there are two commodities in an economy, wheat and rice. Okay, so in 2011-12, the price of wheat was 10 rupees per kg and rice was 12 rupees per kg. Okay, so in calculation of real GDP, this base year prices are constant. Okay, so as you see, 10 rupees 10 is constant in real GDP. Okay, similar the prices of rice constant throughout the years in real GDP. All right. Okay, in but in nominal GDP, okay, as you see, these prices are varying. Okay, as we saw in the above slide, these prices are varying because they take into account the current market prices. Okay, not the base year market prices. All right. Okay, so in the see in the next years 12, 13, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, the price of wheat has risen. Okay, in the next year it is 10.5, it is 11, it is 12. Okay, similarly 12, 12.5, 13, 13.5. Okay, in nominal GDP the current market prices are reflected. Okay, but in real GDP the base year market prices are repeated throughout the years. All right. So as you can see in the calculations. Okay, so in the first year the nominal and real GDP values are same. Okay, but as we proceed to the next years, you can see the nominal GDP is rising more than that of the real GDP. Okay, so see in the last year the nominal GDP is 291 but the real GDP is 251. Okay, so that's why we have seen in the previous slide that okay, uh, real GDP is a more meaningful calculation because it shows the actual comparison. Okay, but uh, nominal GDP, it can inflate the growth figure. Okay, so growth figure is inflated here 291, not 251. All right. So this thing you have seen in the first year, the first year or base year, the real GDP is equal to nominal GDP in the first year. Okay, so this can be also be a prelims question. Okay, so from the above table, as we have seen in the above table, we can conclude that real GDP growth measures the growth in quantity only. All right. But the nominal GDP, it measures the growth in value, which includes both quantity and prices. All right. So that was the difference between real and nominal GDP. All right. Thank you.